Hello, friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where I am back with transforming robot toys from Korea, and specifically Hello Carbot, with Hello Carbot's Pony Meister. Yes, really. I love this toy. I absolutely love this toy. I don't know that I can say that it's my favorite out of all of my Tobots and Carbot stuff, but it's up there. It's in the top 3. And this made me realize a particular soft spot that I've developed over the years. Well, year, which is I apparently really like things that are awesome looking robots that turn into really stupid looking alt modes. Case in point, Tobot Adventure Z. And to a lesser extent, But yeah, this car is so stupid looking. It's like the most unassuming, dorky car I've seen in a transforming toy ever, and I absolutely love it. This thing is so, I want to say 70s, with its, boxiness, the very square, virtually everything, and yeah, I don't know, this car looks so dumb in the most charming way to me. And I'm sorry for anyone who may have owned this car or does own this car. I mean all of this in a good way. This is the kind of thing that the fact that it's kind of goofy looking is what makes it awesome. And deco-wise, it's also really well done, because, they did all this nice detailing in the front. The lights are actually translucent plastic that are different colors, which is some fantastic attention to detail. You've got a Hello Carbot logo instead of the manufacturer logo this time around. And then as you go around to the side, you can see that, the little lights on the sides are actually painted. There's some nice but standard molding in there. The one thing that bugs me about this is the plastic for the hood is a little bit too thin. It's not brittle thin, but it's thin enough that you can kind of see the stuff on the inside there, which is a little bit of a shame. But anyway, moving on. It does that thing that I love where the windows are the same all the way around. In this case, they are translucent plastic, but they're very, very tinted. So you can just see in there a little bit, but not enough for it to be oh, so much robot junk is in there. But at the same time, because of the way that this thing is constructed, the way that it transforms, you don't have a bunch of robot junk jammed up into the front. And in fact, you can actually kind of see, and we can do this because it's Hello Carbots, if you open the door, you can see there are actually seats molded in there. Granted, they're kind of close together, it's very smooshed in, but still, it's cool that there are seats in there. And you can also open up the trunk to reveal calves. But still, I appreciate the fact that the windows are tinted, so you don't have to worry about an unobstructed look at all the junk on the inside, but I also appreciate the fact that the junk's not jammed up against the windows. They also did silver for the rims. They also silver on the side mirrors, which is fantastic. And then on the back, again, nicely done with the different colored translucent plastic for the taillights, some nice silver trim, black and silver for the fender, and then a Hello Carbot tampographed license plate. This, more than anything, Sky SWAT is, from what I understand, based on a real car, and it looks great, but it doesn't necessarily look like, say, a scale model or diecast scale car. This, if he was in car mode and just sitting on a shelf, if someone wasn't taking a super close look at it, they'd probably just think this was, a model car or something. That's really cool. I will remain in awe of how Young Toys and Sono Kong and all of them can pull this off. Alright, so now that I'm done talking about the goofy looking car, let's move on to size comparisons. Here he is with a standard deluxe, and as you would expect for one of these figures, he's rather large. Here he is with the other unassumingly dorky looking car, Tobot Adventure Z. And yeah, Adventure Z is bulkier and puffier, but they're still both pretty decently sized vehicles. Here he is with Hello Carbot Sky SWAT, which, since they're both from the same toy line this time, they're a bit more kind of in scale to each other. This is still a good-looking car, but this looks more not quite real world. This looks way more real world to me. And here he is with the duck tank. So with Hello Carbot Pony Meister, seriously, being a larger, simpler, not as often covered toy as per usual, I will be walking through the transformation on this guy rather than speeding through it. So, to start, we'll pop open the doors here, and they just peg in right there. Let's see. Like so. Pop open doors, and then I want to reach back here and pop this entire section of car off and away, and that pegs in up here and right down here. Do that on both sides. This bit will unpeg from down here. There you go, and you can see the pegs there. This slides out a little bit, and that allows you to fold the entire thing up and over. And now we can disengage this whole thing, and this is a little bit tricky just because there are some tiny pegs here and here that peg into the insides of these side panels here that are rather tight. So it just takes a little bit of doing, a little bit of leverage to kind of pop those up. There we go. And with those popped up, there's just a big central peg right there that you can wiggle out. And there it goes. And there you can see the peg hole, big old peg, and there are the tiny pegs and the tiny peg holes there. And this will just go off to the side. With that out of the way, we can fold the seats down, and they'll just fold right around that. From here, we want to lift these flaps up and out of the way so that the arms have clearance. And then we want to pull these out. As you can see, they sit, these little tabs rest in these little grooves there. They don't actually lock in solidly or anything like that. They just kind of keep things from moving around too much. But you need to lift them up in order to give them clearance to get around all of this, because we're going to pull the arm out and down. And then just angle this out slightly because we want to kind of clear the space right in here. So angle that out. And with that done, we can bring this down, and this tab will settle into this groove right in here. So pull that down, and I'll just nestle in there all nice and snug. And there he's got a chest. Now we can work on the shoulders. So swing these up the rest of the way. There's a tab here that'll go in there. Take that in. Same on this side. And then there's a tab here that will go into part of the slot on the door here. So you want to angle it down, and you can kind of slide it back up and then peg it in like that. And that gives him this big, puffy, ornate-looking shoulder. All right, what do we do next? Next, we will do the legs. So we want to come down here. There are tabs that are tabbed in right in here. So we want to untab that, and there you can see tab holes in the tabs there. And those will go out in one click. And we can bring the legs forward, straighten out the knees, because you actually want them kind of inverted for the car mode. You want these down and the knees bent forward like that, because that gives you the angles you need to have those tab in there. So straighten that out. These will come down 2 clicks, and we can split the legs. And then we will unpeg the rest of his really silly weapon. Just going to move the arms kind of up and out of the way so that we can see what I'm doing here. So here, for these, what you want to do is you want to, there's like a double hinge here, you want to angle it in so that the car chunk plugs into this bit here, and then angle it forward. That will give him side skirts. Same thing here, angle it forward, and there we go. You want to do that first, because otherwise you won't have the room that you need. Because lastly, I want to take the hood, and that will hinge back. That's on a double hinge there. So that hinges back, and this will plug in right here. And it also, this bit hinges, so that'll help with getting it guided into place. And this is why we wanted to do the hip skirt things beforehand, because with this in place, this kind of bangs into that. So if this is down, it doesn't want to come through. So just doing that for ease of getting it out of the way. Home stretch. I want to take the roof bit here, and this will peg back on here, but now it was originally pegged in this way. Now it's going to peg in this way. That will peg in, and there's also a slot and tab up here, so that when you slide this bit down, it'll lock in place, and that will be a nice solid backpack. And we can do something with that later too, so don't worry too much about the parts formery. Lastly, there's his dumb weapon. You just extend it, and that will plug into his hand like some kind of really goofy, mystical robot lollipop. And there we have Hello Carbot Pony Meister. Seriously, in robot mode. And if my preamble before this was any indication, yeah, this robot mode, freaking awesome. I really, really love how such a dorky looking car turns into such a really cool looking robot. I don't know anything about the character, I don't know anything about the car, I don't know anything about the show, but this looks fantastic. I love the mixtures of color here, how the red becomes more accents, whereas before it was like the entirety of the vehicle mode. Now it's just like you get little hits of it around the shoulders and chest and thighs because of the skirts and like the knees and stuff like that, but more than anything, the predominant colors here are white, gold, and like a little bit of this kind of brownish black. So I love the color shift that's going on here, and I love the distribution of parts. Yeah, he does have kibble technically, but the way that these bits of car become hip skirts is great. I think that's really cool, and this bit on the back, we'll deal with that a little bit later, but like even that has something to do. And along the back, he's got some nice detailing. Really, the only issue is he's got these weird kind of boat shoes thing going, but that doesn't really bother me at all. Yeah, this sticks out a little bit far, but when you look at the way the foot is constructed, this is the heel right here, so it only sticks out a little bit further. And when you're looking at him from the front, you don't even notice, so I just don't care. But this guy is so cool. He's got this kind of like regal, mystical motif going with like the kind of flared angles in the designs and like the shoulders and the waist there, even like to an extent in the legs. And it also somewhat mirrors the angles of his weapon here. And this kind of gives me Magi Ranger or Power Rangers Mystic Force vibes, and just how it's like, you know, a big M. I don't know, maybe it's from Meister. Getting the weapon out of the way here just so we can focus on the overall shape of the robot. It's a little bit lanky, like he's got the thinner arms, thinner legs, but it's done in a way that works. Like he doesn't seem overly skinny, he just seems more, I guess, fit. It's not bad proportions. The chest might be a little wide, but other than that, it's pretty great. And of course, you know, I have that thing with big shoulders, and he's got these really nice ornate kind of shoulder pads. There's a decent amount of detail on him too, like just the ornate gold paint on the feet there, and these little pistons, some nice molding. There's some nice detail going on around the knees. There's also some nice molded detail on the insides of the hip skirts. There's also some like piston detail right in there where the hips meet. About the only part of the car that's not completely hidden or tucked away or otherwise taken out of focus for the robot mode is the chest, and I kind of like how that works out, because this is, you know, yeah, it's like car, but this kind of is like the loosest interpretation of, or the loosest indication of the dorkmobile that this guy turns into. Forearms have some nice detailing on them as well. They're weirdly kind of curved slightly forward, which kind of sucks. I wish that these could straighten out a little bit more. but you don't really notice it when you're looking at him from the front. I also like the separation of color where you've got the white forearms, black biceps, white shoulders. Some nice detail in there, and here's where you can see like where I was thinking more like the Magi Ranger or Mystic Force kind of thing, because that M or that design looks very much like the M from Mystic Force. I mean, it's not exact, obviously, but it just evokes that for me. He also has the Hello Carbot logo on his shoulder, which seems a little redundant because he's also got one on his chest, but I think the original release of this figure, that was actually the car manufacturer logo, so I guess it's just an artifact from that. Though I kind of feel like if they remolded that, then they could have remolded that, but whatever. I also really like this head. This kind of makes me think of some kind of robotic Arthurian legend, or like a mystical dwarf type character where you've got the big bulky helmet and then you've got a little bit of a beard poking through, and that's just fun. It's got this nice little point on top and everything. He does have a light piping block, which is what the little point is, but it does not work well at all. Still, I love the head sculpt. It looks great. The silver on that gold plastic is really nice. And I know that some people might be worried because gold plastic, but this thing came out like, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know the exact date. So this has been like well past when they were aware of and had dealt with gold plastic stuff. So I'm not particularly worried. I kind of want to go in here. Well, kind of nothing. I want to go in here and do some like panel lining and painting on the guy. I looked at reference photos, and this guy's paint scheme is actually pretty on point for like, show accuracy and whatnot. There's really nothing that needs to be changed other than I think the gold is supposed to be yellow. Even so, I still feel compelled to do it because it's just, there's a lot of little details in there that I kind of want to bring out even more, but then at the same time, looking at him just as is, with his little lollipop, he's really cool. He looks really cool like this, so it's sort of like he doesn't need the change, he doesn't need the extra detailing with like paint and panel lining and all that, but I still kind of want to do it. I don't know. Anyway, before we move on to size comparisons, let's talk about this thing. So, we're going to unplug it. Going to slide this up. There we go. And that will give us room to wiggle this out. Unplug it from there. And now we can use this as a shield. So there's this little hole on the forearm there. The other forearm has it as well, but I like to do it this way. And there's this angled peg on the inside there, and you kind of, because of the way the shoulder's set up, you either need to unpeg the shoulder or slide up like this, because otherwise it'll just kind of knock against it. But you angle that in and line this up, plug it in, and now he has a forearm shield, and that kind of cleans up his back a little bit more too. And yeah, that looks really freaking cool. I love this guy. He's so neat. And the fact that he turns into such a dorkmobile just makes it all the better because it's such a cool looking robot hiding inside such a not cool looking car. It's fantastic. Alright, moving on to size comparisons. Here he is with a standard deluxe, so let me pull this back a little bit more to get a little bit more in the frame here. But yeah, here he is with a standard deluxe, and as you're probably expecting at this point, he's quite large. Here he is with Tobot Adventure Z. Let's look that up a little bit more so you can see. And again, Adventure Z, a little bit bigger, a little bit beefier. Here he is with Hello Carbot Sky SWAT. And you can see that he's ever so slightly taller than a figure from the same line. Also, I don't know if this is just coincidence or if this is something that happens with Hello Carbot stuff a lot, but I think it's kind of funny how the two Hello Carbot figures that I have, they turn the roof of the car into a shield. And lastly, gotta angle this down a little bit more. Here he is with the duck tank. Alright, that's gonna do it for Hello Carbot Pony Meister. Seriously. As I've already said and made abundantly clear, I absolutely adore this figure. It's a Carbot, so he doesn't have the most posability, though he is quite posable. Really, the only stuff he's missing is a waist swivel and bicep swivels, but the way he's constructed, I don't think they could have managed bicep swivels. Definitely not a waist swivel. but he just looks so cool, and I love how he looks cool in robot mode and looks so stupid in vehicle mode. If you're into Tobots or Carbots, or if you're thinking of getting into it, I would definitely recommend checking this guy out. But there are cheaper alternatives if you want to just test the waters, because, I could understand not wanting to drop the kind of money that this guy's going for right now as, your first outing. In which case, I would recommend keeping an eye on Amazon, because Adventure Z here pops up on Amazon fairly consistently for only about $30. And that is a fantastic price for the amount of really awesome toy that you're getting. But that's enough of my rambling about this thing. What do you all think of Hello Carbot Pony Meister? Seriously, is this just too goofy for you, or is there something about it that's really awesome? Do you have any connection or know anyone who has any connection to the type of car that he is? If you have this guy, what do you think of him? And if you have any other Hello Carbots or Tobots or any similar transforming robot figures, how do you think he stacks up? And I'm sure I can guess what some people are going to say, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you think I should dabble a little bit in some panel lining and painting on this guy, or just leave him as is? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.